Hello everybody and welcome to another Andy's Shed Live. This one is for Sunday the 16th of May 2021. Hello there everybody, how are you doing? I hope you're having a great Sunday afternoon out there this Sunday afternoon. A little bit late on tonight, about 10 minutes or so. Basically we're just that little bit behind, just that little tiny bit behind today, so I've just got to get everything set up. I think it's all working reasonably as it should be. Hello to everybody who's in the chat. Hello to Wesley, Jimmy, Christopher, Fungi Phipps, Penfold 50, and anybody else who's out there. I know there are a few other people there, but until you actually say something in the chat, because of the way the system works here, I can't actually see who you are until you actually say something in the chat. So if you've not said something in the chat already, say hello. Say hello. Yeah, get on YouTube there, get on the chat and say hello. If you're new here by any chance, then welcome for the first time. I've got a drink tonight. Don't worry, it's only water, it's not gin. I've been out, the first stationary engine rally of the season today at a place called Parsley Hay between Bakewell and Buxton. It was a test event to see how we could do it with social distancing and that, and it all went reasonably well, to the degree that we're going to be at Arkwright's Mill at Cromford next weekend. So if you're in that sort of Amber Valley area of Derbyshire next weekend, Arkwright's Mill at Cromford, both days, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be there with stationary engines and that in the car park there. So that should be good. If you want to come along and say hello, feel free to. Right, Christopher's asked me, is CNET working? It's working, Christopher, but it's not working on the... so we can't hear you on air. But it's probably working. It's probably up and running at the minute, because we're not getting DDoS attacked on it. I'm just looking there at the router thing, see what was happening on it. But as far as I'm aware, it is working. So you can call each other if you want tonight. Jim Fuller has joined us as well. Hello, Jim. Nice to see you there. As I say, I've just rushed back from a stationary engine rally today. So I'm kind of not prepared or anything today. I'm really not quite with it. But I have got a drink. In honour of BigClive.com, I've got a drink on the stream. It's not quite as strange as what he drinks, though. If you don't know who Big Clive is, check out Big Clive Live on a Saturday night. It's rather good. Right, what have we got on for you today? Quite a simple show today, so I say just come back. We've got a couple of telephones to have a look at, possibly do a bit of restoration work on. But before we start any of that, just a bit of housekeeping as we normally do here on a Sunday night. To tell you, if you didn't know already, we have a website. It's here, andyshed.coldpress.net. You'll find all sorts on the website if you go and scan through it. Lots of back episodes, lots of other stuff too. And there's also a contact form if you want to get in touch with us on there as well. And you'll find that on the website. And if you want to join us on the show, if you want to help support the show, the easiest way to do that is by becoming one of our members on Patreon, to get some extra content as well in the week from time to time. You can do that here, somewhere there. Patreon.com/Andy's Shed is the one to do on there. Right, let's see what everybody has been up to in the big wide world. Christopher says, did you get my email of the old train? I did, Christopher. I've got the email of the old train. But I've not had a chance to ingest it into the system yet, so I have to put the photo up next week of that. unless I can magically do it while I'm on air tonight. But for some reason, your photos seem to come out sideways very often on my computer. I have to do quite a lot of jiggery pokery to get on the right way up. I don't know why. It's coming out sideways. It says it was out filming a 121-year-old Melbourne Red Rattler train. Well, didn't you say those trains only got withdrawn in about 1990? Are you telling me those trains were 90 years old when they got withdrawn? Wow. If that's the case, wow. Right, so we will crack on, shall we, and see where we get to today. Right, you may remember the other day I went out and a large batch of vintage telephones came back from my travels to Kent that we had the other day, and one that came back that I've not had a look at yet is this one, which we think is a topaz yellow 746, and it's a bit dirty, it's in a bit of a state, so we thought we'd have a little look at doing a bit of something with this today. See if we can do something with it. Where's the camera gone? There we go. There it is. Look, so it's a bit sort of grotty, a bit muddy sort of thing. And look at the state of the line cord, and that, I mean the curly cord rather, isn't that lovely? So we thought we'd try and do a bit of something with that tonight and see if we can get that looking a little bit better. Also going to take the opportunity tonight to throw it over to you guys. If you've got any questions or anything you want to know about telephones, about the show in general, or about anything else really, just stick them in the chat and I'll answer as many as I can as we go over the next hour or so. So yeah, it doesn't have to be about telephones. It can be about anything. That's left me open for anything there, hasn't it? But yeah. Funky Phipps in the chats says he needs a hug. He made a rather daft error this week. He says he thought he'd scored a real goodie, a green 232 with draw and card insert. But I take it wasn't what it appeared to be then, Fungi. What actually was it? Was it a black one that had been painted green? Because that does happen a lot. You get black ones that have been painted green or painted red or even painted ivory. Yeah, that is a thing that happens. So is that what happened to you? Just got to wait because the chat is about 30 seconds behind what we're doing. Oh, and we've got some dropped frames. Right, you know what I said about CNET working tonight? I'm afraid we're going to have to turn it off a bit because it's dropping frames on the stream. So I've just pulled it for a moment. Right, where were we? It says this green 232 that he got. The earpiece is glued. It says it's a proper green one, but he can't take the earpiece off at all. He thinks it's glued to the magnet plate. Oh, that's interesting. Glued. Why would it be glued? Says it's an Indian takeaway. So is it an ITI one then, Fungi, that you've got? An ITI 200 series there. because if it is, it's probably not glued, it's probably just badly made and a bad fit, because the Indian ones are made out of who knows what. Bakelite era phones, people say, oh, you can get Bakelite phones in black, ivory, green and red. It's not actually the case. The only ones that are Bakelite are actually the black ones. And sometimes you get brown Bakelite phones as well in other places, but the GPOE never had brown ones. It says no, it's not ITI. So who's it there, Fungi? Is it a genuine GPO one? But as I was saying, the Bakelite era phones, only the black ones, and if you're in a place where they get brown ones, also the brown ones are actually Bakelite, because you can't make Bakelite in bright colours because of the process involved in making it. It's a very early sort of plastic, but there's things like wood flour filler in it and all kinds of weird things like that. So the ones that are bright colours are made out of other things, they're not Bakelite. And some of these other things survive the passage of time better than others. One of the worst ones is the ivory phones, because they can go very strange if they've been kept in the wrong sort of conditions. It's almost like how old nitrate film goes. They can sort of curl up and crinkle up and go quite odd. The best ones are the red ones and the green ones, because they, believe it or not, are a very early form of Diacon plastic, like the early 700 series were made out of. The problem with that, as anybody who's got a 700 series made in Diacon will know, is it's brittle like glass, and it can crack and shatter and break at the drop of a hat. So it's not really conducive to them surviving terribly well, and that's why there aren't many of them. Right, Fungi says this earpiece on this phone isn't even screwed on. He says it's glued on. It's glued on. Why would it be glued on? Said it doesn't have the thread in the mould. Right, that's interesting. So, were the green ones made in... The green ones would have been Diacon, I think, possibly. So, is it because they couldn't tap a thread into it, because the plastic was too brittle and it would just shatter by trying to make a thread on it? It says Gavin reckons that they were made so badly that some was glued in place and sold on. He says he sent me an email last week about it. I think I've missed that, Fungi, that email that you sent me. It may have got trapped in the sort of spam filter and that somewhere, so send it again please if you can. Yeah, I'd be interested to see some photos of that. Yeah, because I've never had dealings with coloured Bakelite era phones, because generally they're ridiculously expensive and have always been restored already, kind of thing. So they don't generally come my way for restoration or anything. but it's very strange if the sort of earpiece has been glued onto it. Very strange. I am very, very, very surprised at that. And he says, yeah, it cost me plenty, and my daftness and male greed cost me. Oh, well, I think you've got to put it down to experience. We all get caught out every now and again with something. We all get caught out. I got caught out with an American 500 series phone once, and it arrived here and it turned out it was one of those sort of steeple tone replica things. And it got the star and the house key on the dial, which is a dead giveaway, and I'd just not spotted it. Yeah, just not spotted it at all. Right, okie dokie. Christopher says, do you know what it means when it says on the handset of a 332 ETL? No, I don't. I don't know what the ETL means. It's in the little oval. Is that what you're on about, Christopher? It's in the little oval underneath the handset. And I'm not sure what the ETL means. Over to you guys. Does anybody know what the ETL means? Right. Okay. Funky says it tends to knock the wind out of your sails when you get caught out, like I've been with this green phone. Yeah, it does, but you just have to kind of put it down to experience and well, you had no way of knowing, did you? It probably looked okay, didn't it? Until you actually come to take it apart, it probably looked okay. But it might be worth, if you got it off eBay or somewhere like that, it might be worth not giving top feedback and mentioning that the thing was glued together, because whoever sold it to you must have known that, or should have known that, and should have disclosed it. So if it was eBay or something like that, or Etsy or something, those kind of sellers are the people we don't want. So basically expose them for what they are. Well, it says ETL, does it mean Ericsson Telephones Liverpool? Oh, good question, Wesley. It may do. Like I said, I don't actually know the answer to that one. So, yeah. Fungi says the green 232 should have cost him £3,000 to £5,000. No, it shouldn't. That's a ridiculous amount of money. If anybody wants to sell you one for over £1,000, no matter how good it is, laugh stupidly at them and walk away because they're trying it on. There is nothing. There is not a single phone on God's green earth that's worth £1,000. Absolutely no way. But people do put stuff on eBay for stupid money, and then other people look at it and they go, oh, that's worth such and such, cost. I've seen one on eBay and it's selling for like £8,000. Well, yeah, you've seen one on eBay, but it's not selling for £8,000. It's been on eBay for £8,000 and listed for £8,000, but nobody's been daft enough to buy it. But there are phones now on eBay that I know have been on eBay for multiple numbers of years because they are listed at such ridiculous prices, and people just leave them on and leave them on and leave them on. Fungi says Steve's house clearances has a phone on for £1,000. Yeah, just laugh at him and walk away. Absolutely no way are they worth that. That is ridiculous. See, once one person pays it, they think, oh, I can sell them for £1,000. They'll try it again. It's insane. Then he says it was real and all proper. I would have been very happy for £500. Yeah, £500, £600, probably about right, but over £1,000. That Steve's House Clearance is trying to sell stuff for well above top money. It's ridiculous what he's trying to sell stuff for these days. Fungi says, I need a glass of strong gin now. Yes, unfortunately this is only water, Fungi, so I can't help you there with the gin. It's only water, because I've been shouting to people over the top of noisy stationary engines all day today, you see. So I'm having to have a drink, because I'm talking a bit like this. Right, shall we crack on with this? Shall we take this apart and see what we find on the inside of it? Take the screw out the back that's retained properly just for once on this. All those down, lift the back of the case up. Oh, that's come off suspiciously easy. It is definitely a topaz yellow one. Although, as I'm looking at it on the screen, it definitely looks ivory, but it's not, it's topaz yellow. And it's got a big crack in the back. Can you see that? That crack. So we'll have to do something with that. But here it is now. Now here's a good example. I'm just looking at the bells here, at the bell coils, to see if I can read a marking on them, and I can't see a marking on them, but they should be 500 ohm bell coils. Should be. No, I said should be, because this phone has been messed with already. Because if you look at it, it's been converted inside to plug and socket, because all these four are joined together. But up here, there, where there should be a resistor, there isn't a resistor. Now if this has got two lots of 2000 ohm bell coils in, making 4000 ohms altogether, that's totally fine not having a resistor in there. But those two lots of 2000 ohm bell coils were only fitted to phones that had the modern style BT plug on the end of their line cord. This one has not got a BT plug on the end of its line cord. It's got one of these that's fallen off. So the theory is that this means that those bell coils should only be 500 ohms each, making 1000, which means you have to put a 3.3 thousand ohm resistor in there. But to guarantee those being 500 ohm bell coils without testing them with a multimeter, you would need to be sure that this is a genuine cord for it, and it's not. And the way I know it's not is because this box, the top of it is ivory, the bottom of it is black, and this cord it's joined to is a real mix. Because looking at this cord closely, underneath all the dirt, it seems to be an ivory cord . Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that's an ivory cord on a yellow phone. And if you look here, look at these grommets here, that's definitely a yellow one. But this one, do you reckon that's lighter? Do you reckon that's ivory? I reckon that's ivory. So, why would that be on a yellow phone? Yeah, that's ivory, look, you can, much lighter. So, that is wrong. So, we'll take that off. So, somebody has messed with this at some point. So, there is your first clue that there might be things wrong with it, because somebody has tampered with it. We now know for sure that somebody has tampered with this. So first thing we'll do is we'll take off this line. Jimmy says, Andy, have you got any payphones in your collection? Have you got an A and B one? I can remember in the Lake District and Couple near Chorley, they still had them in the early 1970s. Right, the answer to that one is the only sort of payphones that I've got are the sort that stood on pub bars, and were not the highest quality thing ever. A and B payphones are quite rare these days. There was, until recently, and I don't think it's there now, at least it's not working now, but it was until at least recently working, a working A and B phone in National Tramway Museum at Crouch in Derbyshire, because they had a mechanical on-site telephone exchange run by a chap called John Markham until recent years, but I think they've upgraded the museums. Well, I say upgraded in inverted commas. I think the museum's telephone system has gone digital now, for the outside world, and so I think all the internal phones have probably gone digital as well. So the days of them using proper period telephones at Crouch, as I understand it from what people have told me, I haven't been there in a while, are probably over, which is a great shame, because if you went anywhere in the Tramway Museum, they used to have proper period telephones for everything, and it was quite a nice touch, I thought. But yeah, it all used to be looked after by a couple of guys. The main guy that looked after it all was a chap called John Markham. Very nice fellow. What he didn't know about telephones wasn't worth knowing. Wesley says, I had a couple of new old stock ivory BT52As that had grey bases, Andy. They were sealed in packets. Yeah, a 52A, for those that don't know, is basically one of these. And sometimes the bases are different colours. I have seen grey bases with different coloured tops on. I always thought that it was just an engineer that got it wrong. But if you're saying they were sealed in a packet, then maybe they did come that way, because of course when they're installed, the only thing you see is the top, because the back is screwed to a wall somewhere, so the only thing you see is the top bit. But they are getting quite collectible in themselves these days. Paul says there are a couple on eBay now that are brand new, in box and never issued. An ivory 706L and a black 312. Silly money though. Yeah, probably. When things are silly money, basically just laugh and walk off. Because I don't think I've ever paid more than more than 50 quid for a phone for any of them, and that includes these candlesticks down here behind me. Chris says, can I call on CNET to test my Ericsson phone later? Yeah, you can probably do it sometime after the show, Christopher, but I've had to pull CNET off at the minute because we need the bandwidth to do the live stream. Cool. Right. Okie dokie. Right, so where have we got to with this then? So we will probably need to put a multimeter on those coils to find out what they are. They're normally marked, but these ones don't seem to be marked unless they're marked on the bottom, which is a possibility. But look, also I've not undone the dial, and I've got the dials fell out because it's not tight in this ring, which it should be tight in. So it's a bit of a hodgepodge this. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take out the bells, or the bell coils rather, for a minute, and just have a look, see what they're marked as, if indeed they're marked at all, which they might not necessarily be. So get all this out of the way, because this has all falling apart. This has definitely been tampered with, this. And it's been tightened up by Jeff Capes as well. Right, have I got a bigger screwdriver handy? I've got a really big one, but will that go in? Yeah. Well, that is not quite thin enough. Right, find another screwdriver time, just a second. Oh, these sometimes do it. Let's see if one of these will do it. God, who has tightened that up? Somebody has tightened that up ridiculously. It's a shame they didn't tighten that one up as well, isn't it? Really? Right. I've got to go and find some other screwdrivers and things. I'll be back in a moment. Right, let's have another go at this, shall we? Got a bigger bit on my thing now. I still can't blooming do it. Who the hell's tightened this up? God dear me. Very bad, that. Right. Let me go and have a look for another one. Right, shall we try that again? Got it! At long last. Right. So that's out the way. Sort of. That's what should happen is that should go through there like that. Okay. That's looking more sensible now. That's looking a lot more sensible. Let me just see if I can focus this in a bit more. It looks a bit kind of wishy-washy tonight. Is it something to do with the lighting in here? Is that better? Right. Right, so we've got that out, so now I should be able to remove these bells. Right, we'll go to T4 and T19 and T16 with the bell. Wires. And the thing about those is you've got to take the screw right out to take them off, because they're not fork terminals, they're actual full loops. So there's T4 and T16, we'll take those off. It doesn't really matter which way around you put these back either, because the bell is dealing with alternating current when it rings, so it goes both ways, which is why the clapper goes from side to side. So we take that out like that, and then by jiggling this around, you should be able to get it out. I may have to take at least one of the bells off. There we go, it's out. And are there any numbers anywhere on it? So let's see. No, there's no numbers anywhere on that, so it's an unmarked one, but I'm guessing it's going to be it's 500 ohms. It says so. Each coil is 500 ohms. It says so printed in the plastic on the ends of the coils. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. On the ends of the coils there, can you see 500 ohm printed in the plastic just under my thumbnail there? 500 ohms. There you go, you see it on the other one there, look. So they are 500 ohm coils, so it should have a resistor in it. So whoever's converted this hasn't done it right, basically. So when you find one thing like that wrong, it makes them wonder, well, what else am I going to find that's wrong? So of course the easier way, rather than take this out, would have been just use a multimeter on it and check the coils, but I just haven't got one handy at the minute, because as I say, we've been out to a stationary engine rally today and all the tools end up in the back of the van, as they so often do, so I just haven't got one handy to check it. Now when putting these bell units back in to a phone, something that often gets forgotten about are these little plastic things that go on there and on there, that go between the bell unit and the base. So to put this back in, you'll see here there's a kind of two arms that stick up. One is higher, one is low, and they sort of wrap around this base of the bell unit here. So the higher one has to go over it, the low one goes under it. So if you can get those in place like that, then we should be able to put those screws back in, and we'll put the bell back on. I'll put its thing there. Then you have to put the bell back on, and remember these bells are different. There's a 24A and a 24B. The one I've took off here is 24A, which means that one's going to be 24B. And these are generally, sometimes they're silver, sometimes they're sort of brassy, and sometimes they're brassy, but they seem to be like plated. So I'm always a bit wary of polishing these, because sometimes I think they're plated and there's a plating you could take off them. So if you're tempted to polish them, just make sure it's a solid brass one before you do it. Right, so all that's through there. That is back into the base, so I can now do this back up and this, but I've got to find the hole in the base first before I can actually do it. And again, that's a part that can sometimes be difficult. It's best to sort of try and stack it all in perfect position if you can, like that, and put that on and put that in straight down and hope for the best. Hope you've hit the hole in the base. Yeah, I have that time. And remember, these bell gongs, the hole in the middle is off centre, so by turning them like that, you can turn them closer to or further away from the clapper to adjust them, but we'll do that later. Right, so now I've got to put the actual clapper back in place and get those little plastic things in there as well, which is not easy to do because the screw has to go in from the bottom, so you kind of have to lift the whole thing up, put the screw through the hole in the bottom. It's probably better to move it out of the way for a minute. Find the hole with your screw, and your screw actually screws in to that hole in the base. These metal bases are tapped, so if you just screw your screw so it's just in the base, and I mean only just in the base, so to one complete turn of the screw at most, then you should be able to find your little plastic things that have gone AWOL. There's one of them. Where's the other one gone? There's one. Where has the other one disappeared to? Is it stuck under that circuit board somewhere? I can't actually see it. Did anybody see where it went? Just looking what people are saying on the chat while I'm doing this. Fat Hobbit says, I remember the payphones with A and B buttons as a child. I always worried about using them as I didn't understand how they worked. No, neither did anybody that used the one at Cryche. Penfold 50 says, you need some WD-40 on that screw. You know something? I never use WD-40 on anything. WD-40 is a humongous waste of money. Oh, it's there. That's where it went. It flirted up there. There it is. WD-40 is a humongous waste of money. It doesn't work as a lubricant. It dries up. And the only thing it's good for is what it was made for. Which is water dispersal, which is why it's called WD-40, water dispersal 40. And it's actually a thing made, it's one of those things that's kind of a product of the space race. And it was made for de-icing space rockets when they were launching like Saturn V rockets and things. One of the problems they had with it was ice used to form on the outside of the rocket, which made it too heavy to take off. So they used to squirt them down apparently with WD-40 so ice couldn't stick to them. That was its original use. Now if you want something that's a penetrating oil, there is something much better than WD-40 for getting like stuck bolts and things out. It works way better than WD-40, and what it is you get a bottle of acetone. You get an equal sized bottle of ATF, automatic transmission fluid. You mix the two together 50-50, and the resulting liquid works like WD-40. You can put it in a spray bottle or you can apply it with a brush, and it does what you think WD-40 does. It works as an anti-seize thing to get stuck bolts and that out, and it's something like 10 times better than WD-40. The Americans did a test with some equally rusted bolts using WD-40 and this acetone ATF mix, and the ATF worked something like 10 times better. They measured how much torque it required to undo these rusted up bolts, and the ones that they doused in acetone and ATF came out a lot easier than the ones they doused in WD-40. So there's a little tip for you. Well, I was lucky enough to get some ATF that had been contaminated from a garage that was closing down, and basically what had happened was it was in a in like a 5-gallon bottle, and the bottle had split. It was a plastic bottle, and the bottle had split on the top, so they couldn't use this ATF because it might have got a little bit of water in it. So I got that dirt cheap, and then just got an equal amount of acetone that I bought off eBay. So I wanted, like, I think about 5 litres of it. So I mixed 5 litres of ATF, 5 litres of acetone, and made this big container of this magic red stuff, what I call dragon's blood, and it's really, really good. I unsee some stuck bolts on a stationary engine that had been stuck for many decades, and after I doused it in that, I kept dousing it in that, I kept slurping it on with a paintbrush a couple of times a day, and after about a week all these bolts just undid, weren't even seized, they just undid. So it was quite impressive. Right, let's see if I can get this on here now. Just got to get these little plastic things in place now. Why these plastic things are there, I do not know, and sometimes they're not there. Sometimes you take these off and you find these plastic things are not there, but what the point of them is, I'm not entirely sure. Right, so I've now upset this on this thing at the back here, which I've got to jiggle it into. Like that. Have I now upset the plastic things again? No. That's good. Right, so I'll sandwich it there with my hand. And then I'll try, oh, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? I will now try and put these screws back in underneath to catch everything. It looks like they're going in, and I'm not going to ridiculously do these up like the last person did. It's just not necessary. Really is. Only need to be finger tight, just done with a little screwdriver like that, so you can't get much pressure on them, but we don't really need it, and that is all now nicely back in place. Right, let's try putting this dial back together, shall we? Now this is one of the very late dials. You can see it's all plasticky and horrible, but does it work? Yeah, not bad actually. Remember the test, we go round to the finger stop with the 0, and then we say 1/1001 as we let it go, and it should return to its resting position just as we stop speaking. So 1/1001. 1/1001. It might be a tad slow, but it's not bad. Very, very slightly slow, but if we're worried too much about that, we run the risk of getting it ridiculously fast. Right. Now, thing is, now because it's one of the late dials, there's nothing for the little screw that would normally go through there to engage with, because it's a very late dial. So I put that on there, we'll put that back on there. Oh, that a bit because it's not actually that loose. Then we'll spin it around to roughly where we think it should be. Stick that back on there. That. So that should be roughly somewhere there. That should be in there like that, and somewhere there. So the whole thing should be somewhere there. So I can now put this back on. Of course it doesn't want to go on this back because it's not really designed for these plastic dials. That's it. I don't think we've got it at that. That needs to go somewhere there. That needs to go somewhere there. We can push that right in so it's right home, and then right, turn it and centre it up. The dial, so the numbers are upright when you look at it, so it's not like that or like that, it's upright, the numbers like that, and that should be about right for the case going back on. And what you're looking for here is that cut out and this. Now this can move a bit, so you're looking to get that cut out in that cut out there. And of course that cutout has to be in line with one of the cutouts on the inside of the case here as well. You can see how the bezel moves around there. So that cutout in the case and that cutout in the bezel have to be in line. Okay? So would it go back on somewhere there? That would have to go around a bit like that, but I think it would actually. Yeah. Shove that bezel up to the top. Now this is what I always say about British telephone cases being absolutely terrible to fit. Yeah, it will do it, but they are just awful things to fit. This is why I normally take the finger wheel off to do it, and they're still bad enough. So it's somewhere there, so we will now screw this in to hold it up there. That still rotates a bit, so that wants tightening up as well. Again though, you don't have to over tighten them, it's really not necessary. So we know that's working. Right, I'll just have a little break from it a minute and we'll see what you're all saying in the chat. Fat Hobbit says, I was just about to suggest I can see Andy injuring his hand. Yeah, I've done it thousands and thousands of times, slip screwdrivers. It's just part of the course. You just don't worry about it. I dropped an oven door on my hand yesterday and somebody said, oh, you dropped an oven door on your hand. I went, yeah, it's just part of the course, so what? I do it all the time. If you're going to not want to hurt yourself, you're never ever going to do anything in the world. Let's face it. You do practical stuff, you're going to have injuries. If the worst injury you ever have is you stab yourself with a screwdriver, or you drop an oven door on your hand, or you shut your hand in a door or something like that, that's the worst thing that happens to you. You're still doing quite well, really, because you do practical stuff, you're going to hurt yourself, particularly if you're messing with old stuff that's stuck and seized and you're freeing it off and that, you know. It's not a perfect world. that we live in. You know, it's not all like the repair shop on the telly where they've done it 1,000 times, they've freed off every bolt, they've been waiting 3 days for the camera to be available to film that little bit that they've done hundreds and hundreds of times over, you know, in rehearsal. And then the camera comes to them and then they do it and it all works perfectly every time. It's not like that in the real world. Well, in the real world here, I sit down at 5 to 6 and go, crikey, what am I doing on this show tonight? Right, I'll find this phone, not having looked inside it or anything before, and of course it's all seized and it's all stuck and that. So yeah, that's how it is in the real world, I'm afraid. But yeah, if you've not injured yourself, you've not done much in life, really, have you? You know, Wesley will tell you in Land Rover. Right. Penfold says, anyone know what size BA screw the screw is? Which one, Penfold? Which one are we on about? Christopher says, I got an Ericsson N1002 phone for silly money, 195 Australian dollars. $195? What is an N1002? I don't know what it is. Wesley says, any potato updates, Andy? Yeah, they're growing, Wesley. They're still not big enough to earth up yet, though, but they are growing. More about potatoes and runner beans and things soon. Watch this space, Wesley. Watch this space. Right. So what have we done so far here then? We'll have a little recap and a little rethink. We've had a look inside the dial. It still needs the finger wheel taking off. It needs the opal taking off, the finger wheel taking off and cleaning up. Because I've got to take the finger wheel off probably to get the case back on anyway. We've got to put a resistor in here, we've decided, because they definitely are 500 ohm bell coils. Generally you would bridge those two as well, but I don't know why, because I don't generally think there is anything to T9. But they are usually bridged. So I might just put, in fact I will just put a link in there, because there's usually one left in there. There's something under that. There's a bit of a terminal thing under there on T8. See, that's a bit of the end of a round terminal. So what would normally be on T8? Oh, the orange to the dial. That's what it is. Look, it's the orange to the dial. So that little bit there is the orange to the dial. So is the orange dial wire broken? And the answer is yes, it is. So we've got that to do something with, to put on back onto T8 there. So what I was doing there for a start was I was going to use one of these and stick in there. Because there is normally one in there. It's good practice to do it the way it's normally done, so luckily I've got a few spare ones, so stick one in. I'll screw that down for a minute. We'll deal with the orange wire in just a moment. So come back and see us deal with that pesky orange wire in just a minute. And we're back. Back from the ad break for the people who were watching after the event. That's what that was. If you're watching live and wondering what was that, that was where the ads go for people who are watching later. Right, what have I got to find now? I've got to find one of these. This is my wonderful little cable stripper cutter multi-tool thing. It's only made of plastic, but it's half good, and it's quite good for cutting and stripping the ends of cables and stuff. I'm just going to see if I can just, for the purposes of this tonight, just kind of strip the end off this orange bell wire. There we go. I'm just hook it round like that. No, not orange bell wire, sorry. I'm talking nonsense now. It's the orange dial connection. And then just hook that under there, and then as you screw it in, that should pull it round and down, and there you go. That's kind of it's a kind of bodgy type of a repair. That, of course, really you should solder another one of those on and stuff, but that is as good a contact. It's a bit of a bodge, but it'll do it. Right, so now we need to find a 3.3 kilo ohm resistor. I happen to have some of those here. 3.3 kilo ohm resistors. Don't buy them from the people on eBay who will sell you about 6 resistors for £1. It's insane. This bag comes from Bright Components. It had 150 resistors in it, and I think it cost about £4, something like that, 3 or 4 quid. Came from a company called Bright Components. I don't know if you can see that on there. Website bright-components.co.uk, and it's quarter watt 3.3k resistors. Okay. Now the only difference between some of the ones you'll find on eBay and that and these ones is basically these ones are really for a machine to put onto circuit boards, and that's why they're in this kind of paper mount that goes into a machine, a bit like a machine gun used to do, and you know, fire it, and it goes da 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 da, and puts the resistors into a circuit board or something. But you just pull one out, then I can put all them back in the bag for safe keeping, and of course it's very difficult to put them back in the bag because they always give you a bag that's only just big enough. Also, what are you up to in the chat? Penfold says the screw that was stuck, the one in the top, Penfold, I'm not sure what BA, I'm not even sure if it is a BA screw or if it's something else, because I was looking at a thing about threads the other day, about different types of threads. What got me into looking at it, there's that repair shop show that comes on the TV that I said that, you know, they do it and then they wait for a camera and rehearse it and that, which they do, of course. One of the guys on that is a chap called Dominic Chenier, who does a lot of the metal work on there. And he's recently started his own YouTube channel. And he's a very nice bloke, Dominic, or Dom, as they call him on there. And he started his own YouTube channel, and he shows you a bit behind the scenes on the repair shop and that. But he's also got his own workshop where he's restoring a couple of Land Rovers, an old Porsche car, and he's done a classic scooter. He's got various other projects on the go, and at the minute he's on about remanufacturing English wheels. You know, if you know what an English wheel is, you'll go, oh, didn't think they still made those, which as far as I know they don't. But he's on about, he's bought a company that used to make them. He's bought the name and rights and that of a company that used to make them years and years and years ago. And he's now going to remanufacture these English wheels. He's going to make new ones to the old patterns, so you can get English wheels again for doing your body panels on your classic cars and stuff, which is very, very cool indeed. And as I'm speaking to you, what I'm doing here is just bending this resistor so that it all kind of fits into place. So I've bent it kind of like that. Can you see that? So it sort of stands up, because we're going to put that between T4 and T5 on here. So there's 5, there's 4. We'll take that link out, and if you look at the still, you can see where that resistor goes, and then there's a wire to the bell that goes onto the same type as that resistor's on. So we've taken that out. I'll put my 3.3k resistor in there. Like so, and I'll get it to wrap around the screws. And as you do the screws up, if you've bent it all the right way as you do the screws up, it will wrap it right around the screw tighter. If you bent the legs on the resistor the wrong way, it'll unwrap as you tighten it up, but you soon learn which way to do it. So that's on there now, so that is right. I've got to put this wire to the bell back onto that one, so I've got to take that one off again, because remember, this is a complete circle. It's not like some of the connections that go on here, what they call a fork connector that you can just push on. You've got to actually put it over the end of the screw, like so. So that's over there. Alright, how are we doing in the chat for questions and things? Jimmy says, when I used to walk with my sticks, I fell hundreds of times and hurt myself, dislocating my fingers countless times. Yeah, it's a funny thing when you hurt yourself. It's a strange thing. Some people, when they hurt themselves, they immediately stop doing whatever they're doing and go, oh no, I've hurt myself, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm going to hurt myself. And other people just go, I'm a silly old sod, I am, and just carry on. And vow to try not to do it again. but, but yeah, I think it's practical people who hurt themselves most, because non-practical people are not doing stuff. They're not generally using tools and doing stuff, are they? So it's practical people who hurt themselves with tools and that, because they're the ones using the tools and stuff. You know, you can't stab yourself with a screwdriver if you've never picked up a screwdriver, can you? But yeah, I've done it. I've done stuff thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And normally, when I do hurt myself, it's not with the dangerous things. You know, it's you use power tools and really sharp tools and that. They're not the things you tend to hurt yourself with most, because when you're using those, you're being super careful. What you hurt yourself with is something stupid like a hammer, where you hit your thumb, or like you say, you jab yourself with a screwdriver and stuff like that. Having said that, now I probably will do something fairly major. So if I'm not here next week, you know what's happened. Right. Chris says terminal T9 is connected. I think that's supposed to say bell capacitors. Yeah, it could be. It could be. But where does it then go? I don't actually know where it goes, Christopher, to be truthful with you, because it does. See, this diagram doesn't show you what's actually in the circuit board. But the bell circuit, remember, is the blue wire on that. So it goes blue wire through that link, through the 3.3k resistor, up that purple one into the bell set, back down the other purple one from the bell set, and into the white wire, which goes back out into the line. So basically what you're doing there is, in your master socket, the blue is coming off the red, because the red and the white are your connections to your line. So in your bell, your master socket, really, in the house in the UK, what's happening there is there's a capacitor in the master socket, and after the capacitor there's this extra blue wire, because your drop wire is only 2 cables. So there's this extra blue wire that then goes there through the bells and back out through the white. So what that's doing is that is bypassing the bell capacitor that you're quite right to say could well be on T9. So it's bypassing the capacitor in the bells. So that's what you're actually doing with that blue wire. Cool. Right, let's go a little bit further. Right, where's my camera gone? Right, so we've put that capacitor in, not capacitor, sorry, that resistor in. Everything looks good now in here. I would say it all looks as it should be. I've got to fit a line cord, obviously, to it. That is looking good. So this other half of the bell then has got to go down onto those bottom 4, as I've just said, that are held together, and generally you can put it onto any of those, T19, 18, 17 or 16, but generally it's good practice to put it onto 18, to put it onto 16, so that's why we'll put it onto 16. So we'll undo 16. Oops, drop the screw, as I always do. Put that under there. there you go. So that is all wired up now except for a line cord. Just need to fit a line cord to it. So the next thing that we need to do is to get this dial apart, which we'll do in just a second. Right, I've just been and got myself the trusty sticky tape. I used to use sellotape tape, or sellotape is a brand name. Sellotape is a bit too good and you can't break it. You have to have scissors to cut it. This is out of the pound shop, and because it's cheaper you can do that, which is much better in my opinion, but it is still equally sticky, so you can do the old trick of sticking that across the dial label. And yeah, I know the GPO used to have a suckery thing to do this, and pull upwards and it should pull the dial label out. Usually does. Yeah, pulls the opal out, and that opal is really dirty. I don't know if you can see that, so I might have to clean that up. And we were talking last week, if you remember, oh this is interesting, we were talking last week about these dial labels, and some of them being done with like a printer, weren't we? Can you see that? That one's been done with a dot matrix printer. Can I get that in focus a bit more? There you go. Oh, it's gone again. There we go. So that's been done with a dot matrix printer. What's interesting about this dial label is when you take this one out, there's another one underneath. So that one is for Medway 846248, and that one's for Canterbury underneath. Canterbury 503 Splodge 1. You see that? So interesting. And they are both in there. So as somebody messed about, they're both genuine labels, and you'll see they're both a little bit different as well. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, so when somebody's messed about with this phone in the past, have they put these two labels in there just for safekeeping, or were these two always part of the phone? Did the phone work in these two places? We don't know. So I'll leave them in for now and just redo my camera so we can see what we're doing at desk level. Right, so we've took those out. We'll now take a finger wheel. Even that's tight, ridiculously tight. The question is, has it got the right screw? It's got a flat back screw, so is it a flat centre to the finger wheel, or is it countersunk? And actually it's the correct one. It's a flat centre, that one, so it has got the correct flat backed screw holding it in. So we'll take that out. We'll take this little thing off, and we'll take this off, and I will go and wash these, I think, because these are absolutely filthy. So while I'm washing stuff and that. Have we got any more questions or anything here tonight? If there's any that I've missed, repost them, guys. Penfold says, on a watch receiver, I found that the wires on the curly cord were a strange mix of wire and textile. They were very difficult to solder new crimps onto. Right, are we talking about a UK watch receiver here, Penfold? Or are we talking about one with a genuine wire on it, or one that may have had a replacement wire put on it? Because modern wire that is made, there's basically two types of wire you get on telephones. There is the wire like the drop cables are made out of that come into your house, and that is paired wires, normally the 2-pair cable, and by a pair that's 2 wires twisted together. But a common one is 4-pair cable, which is actually 8 wires twisted in 4 pairs of wires. And that cable has got a solid core down it, a solid core of wire. Now the thing about that cable, that is fine when you're putting it somewhere and it's going to stay there. Like if you're attaching it to the side of a house with cable clips and that's fine. But if it's going to be moving about a lot, if you're going to be wiggling it about a lot, with it having a solid core down the middle of it, it can fracture that solid core, and then of course doesn't work. So the other type of wire that you get in sort of the line cords that go from the little junction box into your phone that can move about, because you pick the phone up and move it around, or the wire inside a curly cord, is multi-strand cable, because that can be moved and jiggled about more. But there is this other stuff which they call tinsel wire, and it is a very few very fine strands of actual metallic wire mixed with some kind of material, like it's like cotton thread or something like that, and I think the material is there to give the thing strength when but it's also very, very flexible, and it doesn't tend to break. The contacts in it is what they call tinsel cable, and it's hell on earth to solder, because like you say, it's not 100% metallic, but you can do it, but it's tinsel cable, and it's usually found in very cheap modern cables, and it's not very nice at all, not very nice at all. Right, I'm just going to disappear for a moment and wash these. Where are we? Christopher says an Ericsson 1002 phone looks like a GPO 332. Right, okie dokie. And you paid how much for one? Yeah, so it's basically a clone of a 332, like an Ericsson N1900 is a clone of a 706. Would that be a fair estimate? But in 2 shakes of a lamb's what's it? I'm just going to go and give these a dump in the sink. Right, I've given them a good dunking and they look a little bit cleaner now. A little bit of washing up liquid and water, and we've got something like that now. So just use a bit of paper towel just to dry them off. Oh, what have I done? I've accidentally stuck the thing back in. Stuck the centre back in. I've stuck the opal back in, sort of accidentally. Let me see if my bit of tape will work for a second time. It might not. Yeah, it will. There we go. So there's the opal looking a bit better than it did. Much better. Jimmy says, gotta go. Take care, everyone. See you soon, Andy. Cheers, Jimmy. See you next time. Enjoy your chat thing or whatever it is you do on a Sunday night. Dominic says, did you see the dial generator link I sent you? I did, Dominic. I've yet to try it because I've been out and about basically all weekend, but I will give it a go, and assuming it works, we'll stick a link to it on the website. Right, so there's the opal looking not perfect, but it's better, and this is a lot better because this was like so dirty it was sticky. Looking much better, and of course this looking much better as well. Seen some odd versions of these recently. I've seen some grey ones with white numbers on, and we're wondering if they're original or not. We think there may be an oddball original thing. Few have turned up recently. These in grey with white numbers on, and it's not a thing I've ever seen before, but I've seen a couple in different eBay listings recently, and they look genuine. So there's a bit of something odd going on there. Dominic says, I've got a dash now as well. We'll have to watch this week's recording when it goes up. Have a great week all. Yeah, Dominic, we'll see you soon. Give it a couple of days before you watch the recording, because it goes up and it's kind of a funny version when it first goes up. It's normally better if you sort of let YouTube process it for a couple of days. You get it in slightly better quality. Christopher says, did you see my Melbourne Red Rattler train video on the YouTube channel? I've not looked at it yet, Chris, because like I say, I've been out all weekend and that, and not near a computer, but I will. All the rest of you, Christopher's YouTube channel is Christopher2000. Go and have a look. He does lots of interesting stuff about Australian trains and things, and it's quite good. He catches some interesting stuff. Be passing me as well with the subscriber count soon. He will. Be beating me. Crikey, can't have that, can we? No, good luck, Chris. Right, so this is much cleaner now, as you can see. So we'll stick it all back together. This is where I would normally oil this in here, but it's not running too bad. And with it all being plastic inside, I'm sometimes a bit worried about what the oil might do to the plastic over long periods of time. So I'm not going to worry about oiling it at this stage. So I'll put that back on. and we'll put that little clip back on. Only goes on one way because it's got a long end and a short end, and we'll leave that at that for now while we try and get the case back on, which I'm going to put the case back on for now and call it a day for today, probably, because we're rapidly running out of time. So we'll come back to this maybe next week. So where did I put the case? It's over here. So now hopefully I can put the case on easier. Right. And it's still a pig to put on, but it's not quite as much. Now you see, that's gone round. That's not in line with that slot now. Do you see that problem there? So I need to move it back this way just a little bit. So undo this. Screw a bit and just turn it back. That whole thing just a bit like that. And do it up again. And now hopefully it'll go on. Almost, says he. And that is still catching on this dial bit. Oh, I see what's happened here now. That's gone round, so that's got to go back there. And there you go, you see. Once you get it all in line, all three bits, it kind of works. And I can rub a bit of the dirt off that with this damp paper towel, just some of it, and we'll clean the rest of that up next week, and also deal with that big crack in the back. But just a rub with a damp paper towel, it starts to make it look better. Look at that that's come off it. Right, so we'll put the finger wheel back on for now, and we'll put our Canterbury and Medway labels back. Oh, I've not put the screw in, have I? Duh! Right, where did I put it? Oh, it's there. So that screw goes in there, of course. And we'll put these two labels back in for history's sake, but when I've restored it entirely, I'll put my own blank label in the front probably, so that if anybody uses this phone in the future, they can write their own number on the blank label that I'll put in, and it will also stop these original labels from fading, of course. So stick the opal back in, and it's already looking better than it was before we started, isn't it? It's definitely looking better than it was. So there it is. But it is absolutely filthy. It will need a damn good polish. So we'll do the little screw up around the back. That's the link that I took out where I put the resistor in, so I'm going to be able to use that link in something else. And that is that kind of for now. So that is a nice Topaz 746 going gradually through the restoration process. But also, what I've brought down today, and we'll just have a quick look at this before we have to go tonight, is this. These are a sort of thing of the 90s. It's an Audio Line 110. They used to buy these. I think you used to be able to buy these in Tandy, if everybody remembers Tandy shops. And it's basically a wall phone, although I suppose you could have it like that. But this one's got various issues with it, including wires that are kind of broken off. So you can have it like as a wall phone, like that, on the wall, or I suppose you could probably lay it down as well and have it like that. It's a bit awkward. It's more definitely more designed as a wall phone, that, isn't it? But it's got a wire hanging off there. Can you see the red is not connected there? I don't know if you can see that or not. And at the other end, it's got wires cut. So I just thought we'd have a quick look inside this. Now, there's one thing I've already noticed about this, and that is that on the bit that hangs on the wall, this label is upside down for a start. So let's take that out and put it back in the right way up. You see, who would put that in upside down? Who has messed with these phones to the degree that they put labels and stuff in upside down? And I can see sort of why they've put it in upside down, because it don't fit very well. Oh, I see. I don't think it's square, I think it's shaped. Alright. Is it slightly tapered top to bottom? No, I don't actually think it is. No. So why will that not go in there? It's just that little bit. Oh, that's better. That's better. That's better. Bit of a struggle to get it into place, but there we go. So that's more like it now, isn't it? But this, I have no idea how you get into this even, because I can't see any screws. Is it horribly glued together? There's a bit of tape on here. Shall we take this bit of tape off and see what happens? It's a bit of tape that's so old and brittle with the sun on it. "10 memory, last number redial," it says on it. How does it fit together? More importantly, how does it come apart? Curiouser and curiouser. They were always cheap and nasty, but now I see why they were cheap and nasty. properly does not want to come apart. Can't see anything that would help me in getting it apart. I wonder if they're so cheap and nasty they're glued together. It's an interesting thought, isn't it? There's definitely no screw or anything. How very bizarre. Does anybody know how this works? Jim says Big Clive could get into it. Yeah, what Big Clive would do would be this. Big Clive would go, one moment please. And even when you come back from the commercial break, I've still not got into it. I might send this to Big Clive. Here, Clive, have a go at this. See what you can do, man. That is bizarre. That is. I cannot get into that for love nor money. We might have to come back to this next week. Come back for the thrilling conclusion. I wonder if it's glued. There is something very strange going on here. I can say I might open it at the bottom, but I cannot for the life of me see how you open it at the top. Join us next week for the thrilling conclusion. Does anybody know how you'd get into one of these? I'm not having a very good week this week, am I? It's been one of them days today. It's not going very well at all. Wesley says, I don't think they were intended to be maintained, not like proper telephones. I think you might be right there, Wesley. Chris says, I got 10 UK telephones now in Australia. You want another one, Christopher? Oh crikey, everything's gone a bit funny in the chat, and it's all just jumped on my phone. What's happened there? Chris says, I'll call you later when everything's reconnected to test the Ericsson phone out. Where's he said there's possibly some keys behind the keypad, some screws behind the keypad escutcheon. I don't think there is. I've felt at that, because that is, as you quite rightly say, a very common thing, and if you feel at home with something, you can normally feel a hole. Oh, there's something there, isn't there, because it didn't in there. Right, but I can't feel anything anywhere else. Alright. Oh. Ah! Who said screws behind the keypad escutcheon? Wesley. Wesley, go to the top of the class, mate. Can you see that in the top there? I've just taken this off, and there's 2 screws up there. Look, you see them? Right, we might crack it now then, Wesley. If I don't drop the end of that. Right, we're cooking with gas now, Wesley. Doopy doopy doo. Ah. Wesley, not true what Thor heard used to say about you. You are a genius. Right, there we go. Cracky, look at all that. Blimey, it's actually quite an old-fashioned circuit board, really, isn't it? You know, with discrete components and components you can at least see what they are in there. Yeah. 85 47T. So I wonder if that there is a date. I wonder if it's 1985 it dates from. It's certainly very much a phone of about 1985 by the looks of it. And this red wire here that's not connected to anything, it looks like perhaps it's not supposed to be connected. Because black and yellow, when you've got these colours in what is in effect a line cord, because it's a one-piece phone, this, even though it's a curly cord, it is actually the line cord. When you've got yellow, black, green and red, what you have actually generally got there is yellow and black are your line, generally there, and green substitutes for blue. So red, that red that's not connected to anything, is correct not being connected to anything. If you look down there, there's nothing for it to connect to. If I can get this in focus, you see down here there's 3 blobs, one with the black, one with the yellow, one with the green on, and there's nothing there for the red to connect to. So the red must just be left like that. That is how it is. And I think what's actually happened here is this, I reckon, should be pushed up inside there somehow to give it some strain relief. So perhaps if I loosen this board by taking out some more screws, One. Two. And three. Is there another one? Oh, there's another one there. Four. That board will then come out, and I need to fit this back around this corner in here, which is what acts as strain relief, I think. So that actually clips, pushes into there like that as strain relief around that sort of right angled corner, which is not really a brilliant idea for a wire, is it? Terribly, to go around a right angled corner like that. But hey, it was the 80s. And then that just goes back together like that. And then I think we can probably put some screws back in. And luckily my little screwdriver is slightly magnetic, so I can grab them and just put them in like that. So it's top of the class for Wesley for suggesting taking this off tonight. Wesley is our phone restorer of the week. Well, you can have baker of the week, and you can have potter of the week, and now it seems you can have sewer of the week. So I don't see why you can't have phone restorer of the week. I think you'll find there have been more episodes of Andy's Shed Live than there have Great British Bake Off, or it doesn't feel like it. So that end there that was dropping out the phone, we've mended that basically. So what we have to do now is try to figure out a way of refitting this. So that should clip onto a couple of things down there that I can see. Like so. Top one clips together like so, and I have to say it's not, it doesn't fit brilliantly. No, it's not a fantastic fit. How ridiculous. Why can't they just put screws in all the way around? First I couldn't get it apart, now I can't get it back together. Right. That's now back together at the bottom end. But I bet it now won't go back together at the top end, will it? No, indeed, probably not. Let's it's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Right. It's back together. Put them 2 screws back in quick. Crumbs. We're overrunning a bit tonight. Chell, Curse of Oak Island. They're going to have to wait. No, it's not on, is it, tonight? Curse of Oak Island. It's Curse of something else. So that goes in there. That goes in there. And that's all nicely mended and back together. The case wasn't properly together before either, so that's actually quite nice now. Yeah, it feels reasonably weighty, but not too heavy. When it's put together properly, it doesn't feel like a terribly bad phone, actually. Surprising, it looks plasticky, but it actually feels quite nice. If only I could get that back in, it'd be marvellous. I don't need that anymore. Put that back in the handler there, so I don't lose it. And I need the flat one just to pop these in. Will they just pop in? No. That's more like it. That one goes under there. There we go. Much better. Cool. And it even says it's Ren 1 on it, just in case you were wondering. And now that's the right way up as well. That is the right way up. as well. So we have that and we have that, and that just fits in there like that. So I'll get this emulsion paint off, where it's obviously been attached to a white wall, this. And then yeah, another classic piece of 80s kitsch to add to the collection, and of course we need to put a new thing on there as well, which again we'll probably do next week, I would think. But that is about it for today, mainly because we're out of time. So thanks to everyone for joining us today. And remember, if you've enjoyed what you've seen on the show, you too can support us by becoming a patron by going here at patreon.com/Andy's Shed, and you'll get a bit of extra midweek content every now and again. I do blog posts and things in the week sometimes for the patrons who support the show. Right, just have a quick look what everybody's been saying in the chat, and Wesley says it looks of that era, 1985ish. That phone, it does, doesn't it, Wesley? It looks very 1985ish to me. Yeah, it reminds me of when everybody wore sort of pink shirts and had grey paint in the house and things like that. Oh, for the 80s. It reminds me of people like Tiffany. Can you remember Tiffany? But yeah, that's what it reminds me of. People like Tiffany and Tapau and Debbie Gibson and all that lot. No, not Samantha Fox. I think in 1985, I think Samantha Fox was doing something else other than singing. And no, it wasn't presenting the Brits either. Best Brits ever, the one that Samantha Fox and Mick Fleetwood presented. If you've not seen it, never heard of it, go and find it. It's fantastic. Yeah, excellento. Right. I am going to disappear, I think. Thanks to everybody who has been watching today. Thanks to all our patrons. You will see their names come up momentarily on the end of the stream. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Wesley and Christopher. Thanks to Jim, Dominic, Jimmy, Penfold, and all the others who I may have missed. Fat Hobbit and one or two others that have been on there tonight. We will be back here for another edition of Andy Shed Live around about the same time, same place next week, hopefully around about 6 p.m.ish on Sunday evening. And watch out for little bits and pieces that may be coming out in the week this week as well. So watch out for that. There might be something on during the week. But from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead. Look after yourselves, folks. Don't get into too much mischief. I'll try not to myself. And we'll see you around here, same time, same place next week. But from me for now, thanks for watching. Ta-ra!